Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, online game Doomsday. I became an NPC. Chapter 41. There was a crisp sound of ding, and a ray of sparks burst out from the helmet. Joe Zekwan was sent flying to the wall due to the powerful impact. Sliding from the wall, Joe Zekwan squinted his eyes and got up. The strong impact made him a little dizzy. He checked his status in a panic. The blood volume is still 600. No blood loss at all. Is it okay to be hit to the head? Joe Zekwan looked at the properties of the helmet. Durability. 20/20 right pointing arrow 19/20. After being slapped by the night demon, the durability of the helmet only dropped a little. Joe Zekwan couldn't help sighing, and laughed at himself. It seems that I'm a bit too timid. The night devil is just an E-level elite monster. How could it break the 150-point defense equipment? Retrieve the polished longsword from the ground and rejoin the fray. Compared with before, Joe Zekwan's attack became more unscrupulous. The night goblin attacked him unharmed. He cuts the night demon and instantly kills it. Joe Zekwan directly becomes fruit ninja. While the sword shadow was flying, the night demon turned into lumps of meat and fell to the ground. After getting rid of these night demons, his sword level was directly raised from LV1 to LV19. It is only one step away from LV20. The only pity is that his attributes have reached the limit of ordinary humans and cannot be improved for the time being. Otherwise, in this wave, the four-dimensional attribute should be raised by at least 2 to 3 points. It's done, let's move forward, Joe Zekwan said, looking at the remaining players. After fully understanding his combat power, he was not panicked at all. The experience was almost raised to level 20, so I simply led these players to complete the task. God Anfang's analysis is indeed correct. The existence of this NPC is to help us reduce the difficulty of the game. Looking at it now, the guy who wanted to snatch this NPC's equipment before was just out of his mind. Is this something our players can beat? I can't see the health bar of the NPC, nor can I see the attributes of the equipment on him. But according to the performance just now, we need to be at least level 50 to be able to fight this NPC. Along the way, the players began to talk about how high Joe Zekwan's attributes and weapon levels were. Only Star City Stark squinted, confused. Joe Zekwan, who was in the residential building before, was not so strong. If he hadn't shot the night demon with a pistol, this NPC might even hang on the rooftop. It has been enhanced so much overnight. Has the game company adjusted the data for him? Stark City Stark pondered over and over again, and could only think of this possibility. The game company attaches so much importance to this NPC, it is estimated that it is an important figure in the main plot. If it dies, it can only be killed by the plot, and it cannot be killed by the players. Star City Stark judged based on previous game experience. This NPC is eager to move forward. Is it possible that the Night Demon's lair will trigger a plot? Stark looked at the tunnel ahead and pondered. Go, let's catch up. Star City Stark patted the remaining Cillians sitting beside him, and urged, follow the NPC of the main plot, maybe there will be a big surprise. Joe Zekwan took the 16 surviving players and continued to go deep into the tunnel, looking for the Night Devil's lair. From here, there are sticky pieces of meat on the tunnel wall, and the Night Devil's lair should not be far away. Joe Zekwan waved his hand, gesturing for the players to raise their flashlights. 20 meters further forward, all the players couldn't move. Under the light of the flashlight, it was a densely packed giant meat ball. If a patient with intensive phobia sees this situation, he will faint on the spot. Joe Zekwan cut open one of them with his long sword, and a puddle of brown liquid gushed out. There was also a zombie body that was sprayed out. G-virus fusion failure. Both Joe Zekwan and the players saw the entries displayed on the bodies of these zombies. Cut more meatballs and it was all the same. These are mutants that have failed, and the Night Stalker is. Some players looked at Joe Zekwan and asked questions. Hope to learn some world background from NPC here. Joe Zekwan seemed to be in deep thought when he heard the question. In fact, I am using the system to quickly check information and make up lessons like crazy. After finding out the information about this Doomsday G-virus, Joe Zekwan responded. Night Demon is also a fusion of failures, but it just entered the second stage. Those zombies outside are a stage, and those in these meatballs are in the transition to the second stage. Quote, if so many meatballs are all converted into night monsters, can our residential building be defended? Some players worried. Don't be so nervous. The ratio of zombies successfully entering the second stage is 100:1. If it's up to the sky here, 7 or 8 night devils will be converted. However, don't take it lightly. There is a very small chance that the night monster's lair will convert into a 3rd level night hunter. That thing is not as easy to deal with as the night monster. Joe Zekwan waved his hand and said, hurry up, destroy all these meatballs, and go back quickly. Puff, puff, puff. The meaty eggs were poked open by the players. A large pool of brown liquid quickly accumulated over their ankles. I thought the rotting flesh and blood everywhere on the zombies was disgusting enough. It seems, I still underestimated the heavy taste of this game. Quote, is this disgusting? Try turning on the negative feedback. I've been at 1%. The smell, tisk tisk, sour. Quote, do you all feel sick? Why do I feel so decompressed? It's like squeezing a pimple. Puff, it's so juicy. Joe Zekwan, who was commanding from a high place, squinted his eyes at the speaking player. This thick brain nerve, you are the one who has been in the last days for more than a month. This is the last piece of meat, I will complete the final blow of this group. One player excitedly raised the iron sword in his hand. There will be 1 gold and a skill book soon. This can't be sold for thousands of Yanguo coins. The meat and eggs were pierced, and the players all looked at their task list. Open black lens bracket, cut weeds and roots, close black lens bracket, unfinished. The players looked at each other in blank dismay, and then turned their attention back to the night devil's lair to find it. Impossible, I have searched every corner, there is no way there are meat and eggs left. We're not blind. If there are still meat and eggs that are more than 2 meters long, we can definitely see them. The more players search for, the more they doubt life. The mission requirement is to destroy the night devil's lair and kill all night devils. Stark City Stark thought for a while, and shouted, now that there are no meat and eggs left, there is only one possibility. There are night monsters in this tunnel. There are night devils. A player held a flashlight and walked deeper into the tunnel alone. Then I'll send a wave. Anyway, I don't have anything to explode, so I can just resurrect the night demon if I find it. Quote, go, the organization will remember you. A player joked. 5 minutes later, the player yelled in the team chat. Hey, I really found it. It's here. There's another. The player suddenly lost his voice halfway through his speech. His player icon also disappeared from the map. It seems that it has been killed by the night demon. Let's take Brother Chuan there. Wait a minute. Stark stopped the player. With his speed, he walked 500 meters to the sky. If the night devil killed him with a leap, there must be some movement. But he just died, and there was no sound at all. There is a problem. Let's wait for him to resurrect and ask about the situation. Another 10 minutes passed, and the killed player finally came back to life. I'm sure I saw it. There was a night devil in that direction, but I don't know how I died. For some reason, the blood bar was cleared to 0. In the face of everyone's inquiries, the Pathfinder player's answer was also confused. I've already confirmed that there is a night devil in front of me, so don't ink it. Let's go quickly. Brother Chuan is afraid of a fart. Several players raised their flashlights and began to lead the way. Rather than fearing death, they wanted to get the 1 gold and the skill book as soon as possible. Joe Zekwan followed behind them with 2 swords in hand. The body is here. A player found the body of the Pathfinder player, and immediately excitedly said, in other words, that night monster is nearby. Star City Stark squatted down and checked the corpse of the Pathfinder player. The fatal wound was on the head, as if a long, thorny thing had penetrated the brain. It doesn't look like the night devil did it. Star City Stark is wondering what kind of monster it is. Suddenly his eyes went black. The next moment, he found that he had entered the interface to be resurrected. I'm holding it. In the tunnel, as Stark fell to the ground, the players became confused. They saw clearly what killed Stark. It's a tongue. This tongue popped out from the top of the tunnel and also penetrated Stark's brain. Climb on top, attack with tongue, is it a liquor? Players who have experience in other games immediately speculated aloud. Liquor, have you ever seen a liquor with a length of more than 3 meters? The flashlight hit the tunnel ceiling, where a giant creature was crawling. It is so big that the night devil can feel instantly small when it is around it. Brother Chuan, what did the night hunter you mentioned earlier look like? Height is 3.5 meters, body width is 2.5 meters, and the skin is bluish-black with spikes. Zhou Zequan read the information provided by the system according to the script. Then look at this stuff, doesn't it look like it? Zhou Zequan followed the player's flashlight and looked over. After determining the target, he took a deep breath and said, "You guys are really unlucky." From the information given by the system, the ratio of zombies successfully fused with G-Virus to advance to Night Devil is 100:1. And the ratio of being able to advance from Night Demon to Night Hunting is 1000:1. Such a rare creature has really been encountered by these players. From the player's perspective, the small entry of Night Hunting is also directly displayed as an E-level boss creature. This is one of the ceilings among the E-level creatures in the last days. If these players are at level 30 or 40, they may still be able to challenge them when they encounter Night Hunting. But a group of level 10 players with no attributes and no skills, they can't even see how they died when they encountered Night Hunter. This is why Zhou Zequan said that these players are unlucky. After entering the site of the Night Hunting, they didn't even have a chance to escape. The blood volume is 5000, the normal movement speed is 70 points, and the leap and sprint speed is 130 points. In addition, it also has the ability of tongue-piercing attack, ground shock, and acid spit. The spiky skin is extremely hard, the only weak point is the mouth. The only chance to injure him is when it uses tongue-piercing and acid spit. Quote. Zhou Zequan flipped through the Night Hunting information given by the system. This can be regarded as one of the benefits of having a system. Other players have to spend several lives to explore the abilities and weaknesses of monsters during the land reclamation period. Zhou Zequan only needs to use the system to check all the information at a glance. Normally, the movement speed is 70 points. Even if I throw away all the equipment on my body, this guy is faster than me. This wave must be fought. When Zhou Zequan checked the Night Hunting information, the rest of the players had already been harvested by the Night Hunting. There is no need to use too complicated abilities, Night Hunter's barbed tongue can easily solve all players. In the entire tunnel, only Night Hunter and Zhou Zequan remained. Rub. Yehun's tongue bounced towards Zhou Zequan. Originally, with Zhou Zechuan's reaction and speed, he could dodge laterally. However, the light was too dark, and when his vision was blurred, he was hit by the impact of the tongue and flew out. The blood volume is still 600 points. Even though it was Night Hunting, Zhou Zequan still didn't lose blood from this attack. However, the fact that the blood volume has not lost does not mean that Zhou Zequan will always be safe and sound. This tongue directly poked 8 points off the durability of his helmet. 2 more times, this helmet will be scrapped directly. Zhou Zequan tried to counterattack, but because of the brightness problem, his movement speed could not be used at all. And as long as Zhou Zequan gets close, the Night Hunter will quickly crawl away along the wall. Extremely cunning. By the 3rd level of Night Hunting, his wisdom is no different from that of ordinary people. Its battle is strategic. Deal with those players who have no resistance first. Defeat those flashlights that keep blocking it. After eliminating the annoying minions, slowly take care of this human being who is obviously much more powerful. In addition, he also sensed more threats from Zhou Zechuan's 2 long swords. Night Hunting directly started flirting with Zhou Zequan. Flick your tongue, spray acid, and slip when you get close. Just kidding. Zhou Zequan tried to switch to a crossbow to shoot, but he was actually hit. But it's a pity, even if it hits it, the crossbow can't break through the spiked skin of this Night Hunter. No, it will consume you to death sooner or later. Zhou Zequan turned around and sprinted with all his strength in the direction of the subway station. Only when he was in a place with sufficient light source could he have a slight chance. On the way to the subway station, Night Hunter was still afraid of Zhou Zechuan's long sword. Even if it can catch up easily, it still uses the method of flicking the tongue to attack from a distance. In this way, Zhou Zequan was given a chance instead. After running around in snakeskin and dodging countless attacks, Zhou Zequan finally rushed out of the tunnel and came to the subway entrance. The night hunter behind him didn't intend to let him go, and rushed out of the tunnel after chasing him all the way. At the stage of night hunting, except for the very strong ultraviolet rays, ordinary lighting has no effect on it. It can even chase Joe Zekwan to the ground if necessary. Isn't this the NPC? After seeing Joe Zekwan, the pigeons waiting at the subway station became smart, and immediately said excitedly, "The NPC has escaped. It seems that there has been a big battle inside, we can go find the leak." Joe Zekwan looked at the excited players in the subway station and didn't know what to say for a moment. Moreover, they had already rushed to the entrance of the tunnel, and it was too late to stop them. Strangeness. Didn't the players who were wiped out in the tunnel before share any news with them? After these players reached the entrance of the tunnel, they collided with Night Hunter. Okay, what a big night monster. No, the displayed name is Night Hunter. E-level boss. E-level boss. Is this the first boss level creature? Boss first kill. Even if we don't receive the mission, we will definitely give extra rewards for the first kill. Kill the boss, take the first kill. When this group of players saw night hunting, they were not afraid at all, but even more excited. Kill the boss, take the first kill. Joe Zekwan was stunned when he heard the excited shouts of the players. System, is there a first kill reward for the player killing the boss? According to the integrated online game template rules, players will be rewarded generously for the first kill of a boss-level creature. No wonder these guys are so excited. Then if I kill this night hunter, will I also get a reward for the first kill? The host belongs to NPC. I see, needless to say. Joe Zekwan interrupted the system reply. But think about it too. There is no online game where the first kill notification in the whole server is an NPC. Wait a while, it's fine if you can't get the first kill reward. The appearance of night hunting, why didn't it remind me that I have obtained new mission information? Isn't this a new monster? Quote, such a boss task is at least above sea-level difficulty. Players complete tasks, he can get a lot of points. But now there is nothing. Joe Zekwan felt that he had lost 100 million. NPC. Brother Chuan, help, don't stand there in a daze. Suddenly a player shouted for help. Joe Zekwan, who was communicating with the system, came to his senses. On the battlefield, these players waiting to pick up the leak are basically dead. The ground was full of corpses whose tongues had been pierced through their brains, and whose bones had been corroded by acid. I know why there are no new missions, this group of players is too weak now. Joe Zekwan was stunned. This night hunting is too strong. You won't lose any blood if you cut it with an axe. Don't mention the garbage axe you gave me in that mission. I found a 3-edged thorn with armor penetration, stabbed it up and broke it. Pigeon spirit, quickly take out that thing of yours, and you want to save ammo, we won't be able to get the first kill of this boss. That stuff, ammunition. Hearing the communication between the players, Joe Zekwan also turned his attention to the pigeon. The pigeon became fine and smacked its mouth, looking embarrassed. Finally, with a sigh, he pulled out an Uzi from his pocket. I searched the law enforcement station until I found an Uzi. There was only a shuttle of 9mm bullets, and it was gone after I shot it. Brother, first kill reward. Isn't the first kill reward worth more than your bullet? The rest of the players were still hesitating when they saw that the pigeon had become fine, so they shouted quickly. Boss's tongue and acid skill CD will be ready soon. Here comes a wave, all of us GG. All equipment explodes after death in this game, have you forgotten? Quote. The pigeon woke up immediately when it became refined. Yes, people are dead, let alone bullets, the gun will explode. Da 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 da. As soon as the pigeon became fine, Uzi fired a series of shots and hit Yahoon. -89, -88, -80. The gunshots stopped, and gunpowder smoke rose from the muzzle. 25 bullets, but the damage feedback on the screen only appeared 10 times. Joe Zekwan nodded. This is the marksmanship that normal people should have. Pigeon spirit, why don't you play body strokes here? A player complained. The recoil is too strong, I can't hold it down. After this round of bullets was fired, Pigeon Jing himself was stunned. Is this recoil also 100% realistic? You can't even suppress the Uzi submachine gun. Can you be better? You can do what you want. You can hold it, I will give this Uzi to The pigeon finished speaking even after it became refined, and the teammate who complained was melted by a puddle of acid. After Yehun sprayed the acid, he turned his head to see that the pigeon had become sperm. Even with distorted facial features and black skin, some anger can be seen from its expression. This human beat it sore. With a single leap, Yehun jumped in front of the refined pigeon. It wants to chew off the human beings in front of it one bite at a time, and vent the anger in its heart. The pigeon became refined within a second and arrived at the interface to be revived. Then came the sound of crunchy chewing. Night Hunter's attention has been completely absorbed by these players who want to take the first kill. It even forgot its real goal of chasing out of the subway tunnel. At this time, the real target had already bent down and touched the tunnel towards it. Take a big bite, but don't stop. Zhou Zequan held his breath and looked at Yehun. Seize the opportunity and jump with all your strength in the direction of night hunting. PFF. The polished long sword pierced through the pigeon's fleshy flesh, and stabbed into the mouth of this night hunter. -2611. This sword made Night Hunter's blood bar disappear by half. Roar! Yehun howled angrily, and spat out a mouthful of acid to fight back. Zhou Zequan reacted and rolled over in a hurry. But the plate armor was still stained with a little acid, and a small hole was directly corroded. The durability value of the plate armor has also dropped from 50 points to 40 points. Plate armor has high physical defense, but it can't withstand this special attack. Zhou Zequan took a deep breath and reminded himself that he must be careful of acid corrosion in the next battle. But when he looked up, the night hunter in front of him had disappeared. Zhou Zequan looked at the blood on the ground. Make sure the night hunter has escaped into the tunnel. After thinking about it, he still didn't choose to pursue. It was too dark inside the tunnel, and there was no vision at all. He is at great risk of being ambushed by this night hunter. If this is counter-killed, if the task is not completed, I will lose a chance to resurrect and the equipment on my body. This is not due to Grandma's house. ... After Night Hunter escaped, Zhou Zequan began to clean up the battlefield. After picking up his polished sword, he glanced at the subway station. The subway station is already a mess, with players' bodies everywhere. When I came here, there were dozens of people older, but now he is the only one left. Recalling the previous arguments among the players, the excited shouts, and the screams before dying. Now, it's eerily quiet. Why am I lamenting here? These guys probably have a pot-shaming meeting in the residential building now. Zhou Zequan shook his head and smiled. It's a pity that the task was not completed this time. The loss for me and them is quite big. I have to pick up some things to restore blood, I can't make this trip in vain. Zhou Zequan looked at the equipment dropped next to the player's corpse. Zhou Zequan didn't like cold weapons. However, this Uzi has become a fine pigeon. Zhou Zequan reluctantly accepted it. It's time for me to practice firearms. Zhou Zequan turned the Uzi submachine gun in his hand, and said to himself. The next time I encounter night hunting, if this thing still wants to play with me, I will directly use a thermal weapon to smash it into a sieve. Zhou Zequan tried to shoot, but there were two, click, click. Forget that the gun is out of bullets. Thinking of this, Zhou Zequan opened the host mall and rummaged through the hot weapons page. 9mm bullets for the Uzi submachine gun. 1.100. There are still 20 points left, and if he is replaced with a 9mm bullet, he can shoot to burst. While buying bullets, Zhou Zequan checked the other weapons on the hot weapon interface by the way. Familiar Desert Eagle, AK-47, M4A1, AWP, Barrett, Grenade, RPG. There are all these conventional weapons. There are many unconventional ones. Laser guns, thermal evaporation guns, cryogenic freezing guns, decomposition ray guns. These are far beyond the level of weapons that Zhou Zequan traveled through the world before. After such a glance, Zhou Zequan wanted to go to the technological equipment stream. Technology and equipment are fierce. But the improvement of one's own strength is still limited. I don't want to replace all my body organs with technology products. Quote. Zhou Zequan thought for a while. I still feel that the dual cultivation of technology and body is the most stable. Cultivators can't play with flying swords, but can play with cosmic-level technological equipment. Times have changed. After browsing the store, Joe Zekwon exchanged 10 points for 40 shuttle 9mm bullets. Magazines, shoulders, and belts hung in a large circle. Immediately afterwards, returned to the entrance of the subway station from the original road. Hey, I almost forgot about these guys. Looking at the scene in front of him, Joe Zekwon paused. There are a lot of zombies, the number seems to follow the rush hour. These are all zombies pulled over by off-road vehicles before. With Joe Zekwon's attributes and equipment, he could easily break through with a polished longsword. But he decided to try the Uzi in his hands. Due to the restrictions of the rules of the online game template, using Barrett requires a firearm level LV30. He just raised the gun level. Tongues of fire gushed out. Shell casings and clips fell all over the floor. Played 20 shuttle magazines, 500 rounds of bullets. The firearm level reaches LV10. After the sharp drop in experience, Joe Zekwon put down the Uzi submachine gun. The group of zombies has been sprayed out by Uzi. Joe Zekwon took the polished longsword and began to break out. These E-rank zombies were softer than tofu when faced with a cold weapon with high attack and high armor penetration. Joe Zekwon didn't need to use much force in his hands, he just ran with his swords in hand. The next moment was the remains of a zombie that had been cut open. Returning to the street, Joe Zekwon looked at the map and ran towards Baluo community at full speed. The 12-kilometer journey was completed in less than 10 minutes. As soon as Joe Zekwon returned to the community, a large group of players rushed over. The NPC is back. Come here, everyone. Brother Chuan, is it really you? Brother Chuan, you are finally back. Great, I thought Brother Chuan died. It scared me to death. Joe Zekwon touched his face, took a deep breath and said, are all these players here to greet me? I feel a little embarrassed for being so enthusiastic. From the crowd came out the most familiar player, Prodigals Away. Prodigals Away rushed to Joe Zekwon excitedly, grabbed his hand and would not let go. Brother Chuan, you are back. Miss me to death. Not that much, it's only 2 hours at full capacity. Joe Zekwon responded with a smile. Yes, your return is really important to me. The Prodigals Away rubbed his hands, and continued, Brother Chuan, look. We have completed the task of destroying the Night Devil's lair. Is it, that, Seeing the Prodigals Away jerk his chin up at him, Joe Zekwon reacted. Feelings, these guys didn't come to pick him up, they all ran over to ask him to hand in the task. If you look at it this way, it is really important that he comes back alive. Joe Zekwon took a deep breath and muttered. However, isn't the task not completed? I went hunting that night. We really did the job. Looking at the question mark on Joe Zekwon's head, Langs Away said firmly. But that night hunt, Joe Zekwon wanted to say something else, and the hints in his mind helped him get rid of his confusion. Prodigals Away has completed the task of cutting the weeds and eradicating the roots, and the task rewards are being distributed. Mission really completed. Joe Zekwon took a deep breath, and muttered, could it be that I was hit by a sword and bled to death in the tunnel? Forget it, don't care if it's dead or not, now that the player completes the task, it means that I also have points in my account. After Prodigals Away submitted the task, Joe Zekwon's system interface immediately prompted. Points plus 100. The C-level task of the team of 30 players directly brought 3,000 points to Joe Zekwon. His points jumped from only 10 points to 3,010 points. Joe Zekwon nodded in satisfaction. This trip took them to complete the task, and the income is not bad. After submitting the task, the players all dispersed. They followed the lottery one by one, checking their mission rewards. The bow's level 10 skill is precise shooting, which increases the hit rate by 35%. I tested it, and the effect is not bad. Players with bows share skill effects after learning the skill book. There are 21 shooters on this trip, so there is no need to hide and pinch. The rest of the shooters did not hesitate and also learned the skill book. Originally, players could only rely on their own abilities to shoot, with varying levels of skill. Now after learning precise shooting, it is equivalent to opening a self-aiming hangar for everyone. It's not that you can't shoot the zombies. The sword's level 10 skill, 3 slashes, sprints forward to launch a 3-slash attack. During the sprint phase, the movement speed is increased by 30%. The attack power of each triple cut is increased by 10%, and the bonus is increased 3 times. Quote. After the player who used the sword reported the skill attribute, he also began to try out the 3-section / skill. He jumped up in the community directly, very fast. After stopping, 3 small green trees were chopped off in the middle and fell to the ground. The 21 shooters were jealous on the spot. The skill of the sword is so elegant. 3 stages of displacement, and attack bonus. In such a comparison, precise shooting feels weak. No, I'm not going to be a shooter. I'm going to use a sword instead. Don't be impulsive. It's easy to change weapons and upgrade. The question is, where do you get the skill book? Is there any 3-duan / skill book that I haven't learned yet? Make a friend, and I'll collect it with 100 Yanguo coins. I don't want you, poor man, to be your friend. I'll offer you 500 Yanguo currency, and chat with anyone who sells it. After the players saw the level 10 skills of the sword, they suddenly started a job change craze. What about you? Don't you want to collect a copy of 3/? And Fong asked Stark, who was beside him. Star City Stark shook his head. This skill is quite tasteless without good equipment. It's useless to kill E-level zombies, but to deal with night demons. Isn't this rushing to send it off? If you want to give me this skill book, I will definitely reverse the 3-section cut and use it to run away. Quote. It seems that it can be done like this. Star City Stark analyzed it. In the end, I convinced myself. 5,000 Yanguo coins will be collected, 3-stage cut, and those who sell it will be privately sold on the game platform. Wow, all the players were shocked. Old Shi, I'll sell it. You don't need to find someone else. A player shouted immediately. You are really rich and powerful, 5,000 Yanguo coins for a level 10 skill book. And Feng narrowed his eyes and said, you said earlier that I would not learn it, I will sell you the skill book. Don't be funny, you don't lack these 5,000 Yanguo coins. Star City Stark waved his hand. There is no shortage, but 5,000 Yanguo coins to buy a level 10 skill book. And Feng shook his head, he couldn't make sense of the Krypton King's thoughts. By the way, what is your mission reward? You are the only gun in our team book. Firearms proficiency, increase ammunition loading speed by 10%, and increase shooting accuracy by 20%. Isn't that to you? Yeah, it's useless to me. Star City Stark shrugged. Perhaps, the first skill of long-range weapons is auxiliary passive. Otherwise, with the realistic level of the players, everyone is a master of strokes, and it is impossible to continue playing. Quote. Looking at it this way, long-distance occupations are quite dirty. And Feng couldn't help laughing. So I plan to take the time to practice other weapons as well. When the skill book comes out later, I will see if I want to give up the firearms. It looks like none of you are very excited, what's the matter? Are you not satisfied with the skill book? At this time, Buckwheat Manto walked towards them. There is an uncontrollable smile on the corner of his mouth. Manto, just show off your skills, don't mess with our mentality with words. Stark glanced at Buckwheat Manto and said. Ha ha ha, you still know me, old Shi. Buckwheat Manto took out his spare shield. Swing your arms back sharply, accumulating strength. 2 seconds later, the shield was thrown out. The flying shield slammed into a green plant in the distance with a howling sound of breaking wind. Throwing shields for a long time. That's all, and Feng couldn't help laughing. Don't worry, the hand that Buckwheat Manto threw out the shield placed in the air, as if waiting for something. With a click, the shield broke the green plant. Then it flew back into the hands of Buckwheat Steamed Buns in a way that did not conform to common sense of physics. And Feng was stunned. Star City Stark also coughed twice. Manto, I suggest that you directly apply for the position of captain of the Lighthouse Country. How is it? Isn't it cool? Buckwheat Manto raised an eyebrow at Starkin and Feng. Call me Captain Manto from now on. Cool is cool, but the front swing is a bit long. And Feng slammed his mouth and said, this charging time is enough for the night demon to fly over and give you a claw. You think I'm stupid, how could I use my energy storage skills in front of night demon? The movement of this skill is quite good, how is the effect? Star City Stark wants to know the practicality of this skill. You know me, if it's flashy skills, how could I come here? Buckwheat Manto smiled, and directly took a screenshot of his skill bar interface and sent it to the group. I posted a detailed introduction in the group, you can see for yourself. Shield of Minhir. Throw the shield vigorously under Minhir's blessing, the shield will damage and stun the target. After attacking, the shield will fly back to the hand. Physical damage equals shield defense value by 1.25. Stun, 1.5 seconds. Consumption, 50 magic points can be regarded as spiritual power. Skill CD, 30s. Learning requirements, shield LV 10. This skill introduction. Why does it feel a bit metaphysical? And Feng muttered. So, the shield can violate the rules of physics and return to the user's hand, is it because of Maniel's blessing? Star City Stark paused, then the question is, who is Manhir? I seem to have a little impression of this, it is a god in a certain game. Buckwheat Manto recalled. Gods in other games. And Feng answered, do you share a worldview with this game? It shouldn't be a shared worldview. In fact, it can be seen from the personal attribute interface that this game is old and strange. Do you have equipment and skills for other games? Stark City Stark touched his chin, pondering, in this case, the end-time creatures we will face in the future will not be as simple as G-virus mutants. We've only been in the game for 2 days, so don't think about what big boss you're going to face in the future. And Feng said with a smile, such a realistic game should be explored slowly. Speaking of which, I was really surprised by the degree of freedom of this game. Except for some things that cannot be done in harmony with all games, the rest of the things are exactly the same as in reality. In residential buildings, a certain amount of negative feedback is turned on. Eat when hungry, sleep when sleepy. When I woke up and opened my eyes, I really thought I had time traveled. Quote, it was like this when we first entered the game. The Starks of Star City especially feel the same way. Compared with the short experience of other players. He has been in the last days for 30 hours. For him, this place can be described as a second world. There are 42 hours left. After going out, it is necessary to study and continue to improve the game time. Where's the bun man? Stark's attention was drawn back, and he found that the buckwheat steamed buns that were just enjoying the spring breeze had disappeared. It's offline, look at the hundreds of messages in the group. And Feng replied, this guy posted his skill information in the group, and now a lot of people are looking for him, the private messages are probably blown up, he has to go offline to hide. Let him show off and show off everywhere. Isn't this just making yourself guilty? Star City Stark felt that he was very low-key. My time is up, and I slipped away too. After and Feng said hello, he also disappeared in place. After and Feng went offline, Stark of Star City was about to go back to the residential building when he suddenly heard a very irritable voice from the community. It's getting dark, can you stop staying outside? Let's practice with green plants, I'll beat you with Uzi. Stark turned his head to see that Zhou Zequan was holding a submachine gun compared to the player. Take another look at the green belt. The flowers, plants and trees are almost cut down by the players. No wonder the NPC is so angry. No, my focus seems to be wrong. This NPC has a submachine gun in his hand. Look at it, not only the gun but also ammunition. The eyes of Star City Stark, who hadn't given up his guns, lit up instantly. If you can have a submachine gun and enough ammunition, the skill is bad, at least the firepower is enough in the early stage. Stark immediately rushed to Zhou Zequan and asked, Brother Chuan, do you sell this gun? Zhou Zequan, who had just scared the players away, froze for a moment, then replied. Sell. Anyway, I picked it up. Old Shi, wait a minute. This gun is mine. Old Shi, don't even think about it, this submachine gun is mine. After the pigeon became refined and found the Uzi submachine gun in Zhou Zequan's hand, it rushed over immediately. Is this submachine gun yours? Stark's expression became strange. Why don't you say that the entire residential building, including the NPC, is yours? Pigeon Chungjing took a deep breath. I mean, this gun dropped after I died. If you don't believe me, you can ask this NPC. He must have picked it from my dead body. Quote. The pigeon has grown up and looks at Zhou Zequan, hoping that he will tell the truth. However, Joe Zekwan in order to integrate into the NPC character. Just put on a look of, I don't understand at all what you are talking about. It's really a hell of an NPC to connect a dead body with you. Star City Stark became angry on the sidelines. It was me who exploded the gun. There are other people who can prove it. Stop rambling, even if it was yours before, it won't be yours after being blown up. Star City Stark was a little impatient. I understand the rules of the game. I just came here to ask, can I buy the equipment I exploded by myself? It depends on the meaning of the NPC. Stark turned to look at Joe Zekwan. Brother Chuan, how much does this Uzi submachine gun sell for? How much? How much gold? Joe Zekwan was obviously taken aback. The Uzi submachine gun in the host mall is only 60 points. The attributes are much better than the end-apocalyptic native Uzi in his hand. It is probably the gap between a brand new appearance and a battle-scarred one, but it is reflected in the weapon attributes. Most importantly, this Uzi is still picked up. Joe Zekwan was just about to change to a better weapon, so Uzi planned to sell it for dozens of silver coins. Result: Stark asked, how much money, when he opened his mouth. Then he would be embarrassed to ask for less. I'll sell it to you cheaply, 5 gold. Joe Zekwan quoted the price. 5 gold, I want it. The pigeon said first after it had matured. You didn't even do the group mission, where did you get so much gold? Stark subconsciously asked. Can't I take Yanguo coins to collect them? The ratio of gold coins to Yanguo coins is only 1/500, and I can still afford 2005 Uzis. The pigeon almost gritted its teeth and said, then you know, I just spent 5,000 Yanguo coins to buy a copy of 3 in a row. Star City Stark scratched his hair, looked at the pigeon and said, are you sure you want to bid with me? Star City Stark, this id was actually nicknamed by people in the circle, and he changed it after being called too many times. The origin of this nickname is also very simple. Rich Plus likes to research technology products. Then it was marked as Stark in American comics. Of course, compared with Stark in the American comics, this Star City version is not a little bit worse. But in the game, his assets are still enough to crush other players. If other players confront him head-on, they will really follow the old saying, take the annual salary to challenge other people's pocket money. After giving the pigeons a deterrent eye look, Star City Stark shouted. Brother Chuan, I think this gun is worth more than 5 gold, how about I buy it for 10 gold? Hearing this, Joe Zekwan took a deep breath. You are really a bargaining genius. Okay, I'll sell it to you now. Joe Zekwan nodded repeatedly. Old she, you are using Yan Kingdom coins to oppress people again, I'm going to report to the group leader. The pigeon turned around and ran away with a look of unbearable humiliation. What did I see? Are elementary school students arguing and making small reports? Joe Zekwan looked puzzled. Star City Stark shook his head and smiled. Our Doomsday game players are a small circle. In order to have a better gaming experience, we have recruited a core player group. Game sharing, strategy sharing, and in-game cooperation. Similarly, some binding agreements have also been made. For example, you can't suppress other group friends with real abilities. I just felt like it was aimed at me alone. Quote, if you violate the agreement, you will be jointly targeted by everyone in the group. Stark snorted coldly when he said this, it makes me feel scared. And I joined the group purely to find games. I summed up the strategies they shared several versions earlier. Quote, so that's the case. Joe Zekwan nodded slightly upon hearing this. Why did I explain so much to you? Stark patted his forehead and said with a smile, the information is heard in your ears, it is probably all beep silenced, or is it blocked directly? Brother Chuan, I have to wait a bit. I've already contacted the seller for the 10 gold, and I'll be there soon. 5 minutes later, Saikisuke came over. I'm really convinced, you're forcing me to go back to my old job. With your ability, wouldn't it be too wasteful to only use it to kill zombies? Stark turned to Shiyisuke, smiled and waved. Shiyifu shook his head and said bluntly, when I called you, I wanted to hug my thigh. Let you lead us to develop in the real end times. As a result, all of us have become your migrant workers now. Quote, I know the purpose of your playing this game. Star City Stark was also very straightforward. Don't worry, if you help me, I will earn a lot. Saikisuke shrugged, thinking about it too. It is enough to make money. Shiifu stepped forward and used the transaction function with Star City Stark. There are no physical data such as skill books, game currency, etc., and they can only use the game trading function, and they can't just give it away. Correspondingly, these dummy data will not drop upon death. Because it is an urgent collection of game currency, the original ratio of 1:500 has been increased to 1:700. I received 15 gold at this price. Is it only 15 gold? Star City Stark said doubtfully. Now the maximum number of people in this game has exceeded 200, the game currency should be more than that. You still want to collect all the players' game currency? Most players still want to play the game by themselves. Shiifu was a little speechless. After a pause, he continued. There is another reason for only charging 15 gold, and that is that the price of gold has gone crazy. I don't know which guy released the news, saying that NPCs can buy good weapons here, but they only charge game currency. In addition, I am collecting a large amount of gold here, and based on the real news, the price of gold soared instantly. In a few minutes, the gold price ratio rose from 1:700 to 1:2300. Quote. 1:2300 is okay, you can continue to buy. Star City Stark said flatly. If the money is not enough, I will transfer you another 100,000 Yanguo coins. Saikisuke, you let me, a merchant player, do this kind of business with no profit, I feel very uncomfortable. Shiifu thought for a while, and said, when the number of players increases and the total amount of game currency increases, the price of gold will plummet. There is really no point in buying such expensive gold. Star City Stark pondered, then I'll find someone to promote this game. Then the advantage of our first batch of players. My advantage is not here. My advantage requires more players. Star City Stark waved his hand. You don't have to care too much about this. After Stark City Stark received 15 gold, he turned around and made a deal with Joe Zekwon. After getting the Uzi submachine gun, Star City Stark checked it carefully. Sure enough, every detail is exactly the same as in reality, but I don't know if the shooting feel is completely realistic. Brother Chuan, do you have 9mm bullets for sale? Yes, how much do you want? As many as you want. You sure? Joe Zekwon looked at the bullish points to 4,010 points, and mentally said. A total of 401,000 9mm bullets. If you want all of them, I will sell you one for 10 coppers. Star City Stark. Star City Stark was choked for 2 seconds before continuing to ask. Then, I only need 500 rounds, how much? For 500 rounds, 20 coppers per piece, 1 gold in total. Joe Zekwon felt that consumables such as ammunition should not be too dark, and can be sold with small profits. After confirming the transaction, Joe Zechuan's points came to 4,105, 4,010 5 plus 100. Then, he kept taking bullets from his pocket to Stark. A small pocket abruptly pulled out 500 rounds of 9mm bullets. Both Star City Stark and Shiisuke are dumbfounded. This is the first time they have seen an unrealistic picture in this game. Star City Stark wrapped the bullets with his coat, and loaded a shuttle by the way to try it out. Seeing Joe Zekwon squinting at him, Star City Stark waved his hand and said, I won't destroy the green plants, I will stay in this community for a long time. Da da da, da da da. Da 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 da. Star City Stark first tried the feel of the gun with a burst of fire, and then fired a burst of guns. The gunfire stopped, and the head of a zombie tens of meters away was riddled with holes. Did you open it? Shiifu knew that Stark's marksmanship was good, but he couldn't lock his head with every bullet, right? It's much more stable than before. Star City Stark himself was a little surprised. The nature of the lock has changed. The current the damage explodes. Tonight we can go to get Night Demon to gain experience. Star City Stark said with a smile. You guys resist a little, I can kill Night Demon in seconds. Then I'll let them go offline now, saving 2 hours. Shiifu was also a little excited. Joe Zekwon didn't bother to listen to how these players planned to farm monsters and upgrade, so he turned around and left. Brother Chuan, Wait for a while. Shi Yifu called Zhou Zequan back. I remember you said before that there are cold weapons for sale. Now that we have money, can we let you see the goods? Buy cold weapons. Zhou Zequan thought for a while and responded, tomorrow, someone will come to sell weapons tomorrow. Tomorrow someone will come to sell weapons, what do you mean? Saikisuke was stunned. Zhou Zequan returned to room 1501 and started to consume. This trip out, firearms have been upgraded to LV-10. The sword has been upgraded to LV-20. Guns plus swords can be exchanged for 3 skills. Plus the knife-specific level 10 skills that I haven't learned before, that's 4. While browsing the skill interface, exchange. Zhou Zequan, who was rich in points, didn't hesitate to buy skills at all. Firearms level 10 skill, firearms proficiency. Exchange points, 100. Skill effect, increase hit rate and reload speed. Knife level 10 skill, quickly draw a knife. Exchange points, 100. Skill effect, increase the attack speed of the first attack. Speaking of it, the knife's level 10 skill is quite useless in Zhou Zechuan's eyes. It only increases the attack speed once. So he would rather exchange for the double blades that is universal for melee combat, and did not choose level 10, which is exclusive to knives. But now that I have enough points, I might as well learn together. After all, skills do not overwhelm you. Sword level 10 skill, 3 consecutive cuts. Exchange points, 100. Skill effect. During the / period, the movement speed is greatly increased, and the attack bonus is increased 3 times. Sword level 20 skill, sword bone. Exchange points, 500. Skill effect. Comprehensively increase physical attributes, physical fitness, strength, and agility increased by 10%. This is the skill that Zhou Zequan wants to learn the most at present, and it is also the skill that is most needed. He can finally break the limit of ordinary people's body. After learning the sword bone, Zhou Zechuan's personal attribute interface was finally refreshed again. Constitution, 60 right pointing arrow 66. Strength, 60 right pointing arrow 66. Agility, 60 right pointing arrow 66. HP, 600 right pointing arrow 660. Physical attack power, 161 to 189 polished long sword right pointing arrow 173 to 201 polished long sword. Movement speed, 60 right pointing arrow 66. Zhou Zequan spent 800 points to learn all the skills that can be learned so far, leaving 3,305 points. Next is the equipment, which he thinks can be supplemented. Browse the equipment interface. Zhou Zequan took a fancy to a pair of shoes called Stinger Greaves. The whole body of the shoes is black gold, with small thorns inlaid on the straps and toe caps. Equipment introduction. During the forging process, the venom of several kinds of highly poisonous spiders and snakes has been infiltrated, so it is called the Stinger Greaves. This pair of shoes is very expensive and requires a full 1,000 points. Zhou Zequan gritted his teeth and exchanged it. These shoes are the most expensive equipment Zhou Zequan has on his body so far. Stinger Greaves. Quality, Purple Epic. Physical defense, 350. Poison resistance, 100. Acid resistance, 50. Movement speed, increased by 15%. Toxin damage, 88 per second, lasting 20s. Durability, 30/30ths. Required strength, 50. Requires dexterity, 50. Poisonous Stinger Greaves is currently the first epic equipment. Expensive is really expensive, but the attributes are also really good. High physical defense and resistance. Zhou Zequan could ignore the acid vomited by the Night Hunter and just walk away. It also increases movement speed and poison damage. A rushing kick can poison the monster to death. Zhou Zequan put on Poison Stinger Greaves and felt it. Very comfortable, no discomfort at all. I didn't expect to travel to the end of the world, the most willing to spend money, or shoes. Zhou Zequan shook his head with a smile, and then carefully replaced the poison stinger greaves. He didn't want to imitate Kai Lu, who licked his poisonous dagger. After redeeming the epic shoes, Zhou Zequan spent another 300 points to buy an AKM and a bunch of accessories. Extended magazine, 3 scopes, holographic, quadruple, 8x, and a muzzle compensator. Fully equipped with AKM. This is a hot weapon that can be used when the firearm reaches LV-10. That's why he didn't care about the Uzi submachine gun at all. Can use AKM, who still takes Uzi. AKM. Normal. White normal. Physical attack power, 225. Rate of fire, 715. Magazine capacity, 0.40. Expanded magazine plus 10. Durability, 2020. The damage of the AKM is much higher than that of the polished longsword. But because it is a thermal weapon, the damage has no power bonus and skill bonus. If thermal weapons want to increase damage, they can only start with materials. Like, with special bullets. After replenishing skills and equipment, Zhou Zequan didn't spend points on himself. Next, invest in earning points. After 2 days of experience, Zhou Zequan clearly felt, it is more convenient and faster to be a middleman to earn the price difference than to wait for the player to complete the task. It's time for some new NPCs too. Zhou Zequan moved his eyes to the Super AI chip priced at 100 credits. Chapter 51. A few more NPCs can help me release more tasks, help me sell things, wouldn't the speed of earning points be super doubled? Zhou Zequan didn't hesitate any longer and directly bought the Super AI chip. System. How is the AI chip used? System. Just connect to the body constructed by the system, now ask the host to set the body image. Close black lens bracket. After the system replied, a default image appeared in Zhou Zequan's mind. Switch gender view. The male is more handsome than the female is beautiful. The default aesthetic of the system is fully in line with Zhou Zequan's standards. But, Zhou Zequan didn't plan to put a few beautiful NPCs in the residential building. Is it possible to watch the players try their best to attack the NPC he made himself every day? Even if you don't count yourself as green, it's still uncomfortable to watch. Just let these players find trouble with those voluptuous alien women. The first NPC is a quartermaster who sells weapons and equipment. Zhou Zequan pinched his face while thinking, as a quartermaster, you can't be so sissy and handsome, so sunny. So rough. A whole body of pimple meat. Not bad. There must be scars and bullet marks on the body. Well, let's have a big beard again. Quote, after pinching the image of the quartermaster, Zhou Zequan took a closer look. Hey, is it you, second brother? Brother Yide. Zhou Zequan felt that the quartermaster was almost exactly the same as Brother Yide in his impression. This is what it looks like to retire after many years of fighting. Zhou Zequan nodded in satisfaction, and the selection was completed. The host is asked to set up the AI chip and provide the body design. Do you still need to set up a character design? Zhou Zequan drank his saliva, waved his hand and said, this is too much trouble, let's just use Brother Yidi's. Character settings are complete. Elder brother. Puff. The quartermaster's brother almost caused Zhou Zequan to die on the spot. Change the character design for me. Just apply it to any modern retired soldier. Zhou Zequan quickly changed the system. Character settings are complete. Sir. The quartermaster shouted to Zhou Zequan and gave a military salute. Ha, it's finally normal. Zhou Zequan took a deep breath and wiped the water stains from the corner of his mouth with a tissue. By the way, is the NPC I set protected? Zhou Zequan asked. System. NPC belongs to the host item, and the player cannot damage it. I'm relieved. Zhou Zequan nodded. If the NPC he set is not protected, then why sell anything? Wasn't minutes looted by players? If the NPC is dead, can't it be resurrected? System. As long as the AI chip is not damaged, the system can improve the body to reset it. This treatment is better than mine. Then, can NPC be upgraded like a player? Zhou Zequan became more and more excited as he asked. If the NPC can be upgraded, then he can have a bold idea. System. NPC has no soul, and cannot integrate online game templates for self-improvement. Close black lens bracket. So it's always the default strength. I thought I could create an AI army. Joe Zekwon sighed and shook his head again. Sure enough, he still asked for too much for 100 points. Next, Joe Zekwon set tasks for the quartermaster to issue. Tasks like equipment collection and material collection are directly released by the quartermaster. This also goes along with the character design for the quartermaster. As for the weapons and equipment sold, Joe Zekwon glanced at the remaining points, and there were 1905 points left. I can get some goods. After Joe Zekwon thought about it, he began to exchange cold weapons and hand them over to the quartermaster. High quality bayonets, 10 points for 1, can be exchanged for 20 pieces. Pricing: 50 silver, 50 credits. Sharp broadsword, 10 points for 1 piece, exchange for 20 pieces. Pricing: 50 silver. Glowing meat cleaver, 10 points for 1 piece, exchange for 20 pieces. Pricing: 50 silver. Empire Tower shield, 10 points for 1. 8 types of cold weapons with 10 points were exchanged for 160, with a total cost of 1600 points. All weapons are priced at X5. If all of them can be shot, the consumed points will be returned with 8,000 points. It's not as quick and easy as waiting for players to do tasks to earn. Of course, this is because there are no top-level tasks at this stage, and there are not many local equipment in the end of the world. In the future, when there are more players, the points earned from missions must be more stable. With 305 points left, Joe Zekwon bought another Super AI chip. Set up another INPC, which is specially used to sell medicines. This saves players from having to knock on his door all the time, only to spend 50 copper to buy a recovery item. For the medical staff, you can't pinch Yide brother. Joe Zekwon began to ponder the image in his mind. The second INPC, physician. Joe Zekwon thought about it a bit, but he still didn't make the doctor too rough, with an ordinary wenching appearance. As for the eye setting, I randomly made a character set of a hospital survivor. Tool people who help earn points, there is no need to make things too complicated. Then, he handed over the 4 basic recovery items to the doctor, planning to sell them to players. Unlike weapons, the purchase price of basic recovery items is very cheap. Points are converted into game currency, and only 1 copper coin is needed. As before, the price of basic restoration items is still X50. Sold to players for 50 copper coins. This price is completely acceptable to players. In terms of tasks, Joe Zekwon assigned the personal task of infrastructure construction to the doctor to release. In this way, players can receive up to 3 personal tasks from 3 NPCs at the same time. Help Joe Zekwon earn points, Super Double. You two, move these weapons and recovery items to the warehouse on the 1st floor. Joe Zekwon commanded. The ownership of the warehouse on the 1st floor is with me. Players cannot enter until the protection is completely destroyed. After the things are moved, move freely. Remember to open at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Also, try not to leave this community. I don't want to find your AI chip in a dangerous place. If you hang it outside, I'll just replace it with a new one. Quote. Both INPCs nodded in agreement. Joe Zekwon did not let the INPC be fixed in a certain place waiting to serve the player like the NPC in other games. Instead, they are given complete freedom of movement. The body of the system is implanted with a Super AI chip, and it has a complete human design. Except for completely obeying the orders of Joe Zekwon, the master controller, these 2 INPCs are no different from normal people. Wouldn't it be against the 100% realistic game promotion to let 2 normal people stand still in one place? If it weren't for these 2 INPCs, they wouldn't be able to improve. Joe Zekwon even wanted to encourage them to go out and level up with other players. After giving the order, the 2 INPCs began to move weapons and medicines to the 1st floor. The sound of jingling immediately attracted online players. Quarterman Yide, Physician Hall. There are new NPCs in this game. Some players were surprised. Quartermaster Yide was chosen by Joe Zekwon on his own initiative, and the doctor's name hall was randomized by the system. Look what they are holding in their hands. A lot of weapons and recovery items. No, I can't help it. I'm going to steal them. You guys. Are you shaking em? Haven't you been charged enough? A player walked up to the two of them and asked, Brother Yide. Brother Huo, where are you going to take these things? Boy, stay away from me, don't get in the way. The quartermaster waved impatiently as he carried a heavy box of weapons. Player, well, another grumpy NPC. We're going to move these things to the warehouse on the first floor, please make way. In comparison, the doctor is much softer. It's such a heavy thing, let me carry it for you. A player immediately helped carry the box. You can't miss the opportunity to gain NPC favorability so easily. One player took the lead, and the other players quickly responded. Several large boxes of weapons and several large boxes of medicines were quickly carried to the door of the warehouse on the first floor by the players. During the process, some players wanted to play tricks and touched one or two weapons. The result was naturally paralyzed by electric shock. I didn't expect that you guys are quite strong. The quartermaster praised the players, causing many players to laugh out loud. Unexpectedly, this grumpy NPC would even praise others. Thank you, I will move these things by myself, it will be very troublesome. The doctor gasped and thanked. Are you also residents of this building? Why haven't you seen you before? A player asked. The doctor took a sip of water and said after slowing down his breathing. We are all survivors in this community. We went out to search for supplies a few days ago, and we just came back today. These are Zhou Zechuan's supplementary character designs. You two came back after searching so many things. We don't have the ability. The doctor shook his head and smiled. Most of the things are at Brother Chuan's. We won't go out for a short time after we come back this time, so we moved everything to the warehouse. Next, we will take care of the warehouse. I see. The players nodded. I didn't expect that this community has gathered so many survivors. With these weapons and medicines, we will definitely be safer in the future. The doctor said, with a longing look on his face. As soon as the doctor finished speaking, the players present shouted excitedly. Could it be that, are these weapons and medicines going to be given to them? The excited voices of the players did not last long. A familiar window interface pops up, making them instantly mute. NPC shop. Are these weapons and props for sale? Fortunately, I didn't hold out too much hope, so I said, how can the game give players things for no reason? No, it was you who shouted the loudest I just heard. Quote. Hey, the price of recovery items is the same as that sold upstairs. I thought the doctor NPC would be cheaper. Hey, don't you all look at weapons. They are all top quality equipment. Let's blow everything in our hands. How could you not look at the weapon? You didn't look at the price, right? 50 silver, why don't you grab it? The price of gold outside is ridiculously expensive now. If you come to this at this time, the dog's planning will be terrible. Ha ha ha. Fortunately, the 1 gold I got from the group mission was not sold. Quartermaster, bring me a steel crossbow. This thing does 10 times more damage than my wooden bow. This time I change the shotgun. Quote. The voice of this player immediately attracted the envious eyes of other players. The quartermaster waved his hand and warned, it's not time to distribute supplies yet, don't mess around here. It's not time. What do you mean? The player asked in confusion. Didn't you see the business hours on the store interface? Open from 6 o'clock to 1800. It's already past now. No, the store still has a time limit. There are night demons at night, and it's normal for NPCs to not come out to sell things at some point. Doesn't this mean that weapons can only be purchased at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning? As soon as these words came out, most of the players disappeared immediately. Those who reacted slowly were dumbfounded. What's going on? Why are they all gone? It's all about finding a way to get money. As for, didn't you read it? There are only 20 of each of the 8 types of weapons. If it's late tomorrow, what the hell? Where are the people? The sale of a large number of weapons has caused players to collect coins. Many players went offline to contact other people, trying to find a way to get 50 silver coins. This night belongs to night devils. Without so many players fishing outside, they finally don't have to worry about it. Silla City, the outskirts of the 5th Ring Road. Inside a large farm, night hunting hid behind a haystack, with his back against the wall, panting heavily. The wound in his mouth from Zhou Zechuan's polished long sword had healed. But the overall state is still very weak. Da. 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 There was the sound of trampling high heels. A graceful voice, twisting his hips and walking catwalks, approached the haystack where Night Hunter was hiding. Roar. Night Hunter was startled, jumped onto the haystack and yelled at the woman in front of him. The woman shook her head and chuckled. With a flick of his right hand, 5 bone spurs shot out from between his fingers. If you dare to stain my clothes with acid, I will cut off your limbs and feed you bit by bit. After Yi Lai saw the real face of the visitor, he immediately let out a moan. This is the 4th order. It is still a 4th order variant that successfully fused the G virus perfectly. Without perfect fusion, various deformities will appear in the body. And the woman in front of her has exquisite facial features and a fair skin that can be broken by blows. That graceful figure stepped on a pair of high-heeled shoes, and the walking posture would make any man dream about it when he saw it. Can tell she is a mutant. It was the bone spur ability she displayed, and the thick blood in her pupils. I also let you hide here for a day, just want to come over to see your situation and attack me. The woman put away the bone spurs on her palm, and said in a deep voice, this is because I have a better personality. If the tank was here, you would have been smashed to pieces by it. Night Hunter whined twice. It can't be blamed either. Injured people are already more sensitive. At this time, if a strange creature approaches, it must be fried. If you had known earlier that you were a 4th-tier lady, it would have just lay flat obediently. Which, do you want to get rid of this guy? There was a young man with a hood, approaching with strange steps. Although it was also a 4th-order mutant, judging from its rotting body, it didn't perfectly integrate the G virus. The witch shook her head. It's been a while since I've seen 3rd orders like them, let's keep them for now. Wait for Evelyn and Tank to come back and hear their decision. Quote. They should have arrived by now. The fake man nodded and responded. I received the news yesterday that I have arrived at the Plague Ghost Research Base, and I will come back after I get the 6th level alienation virus. The group of Plague Ghosts is not very easy to deal with, I hope it's okay. The witch took a deep breath and said, before they come back, let's settle the matter in Scylla City first. I don't know where a group of humans came out. It's really interesting. The fake man answered. The fat and short people have already passed, and these humans will disappear soon. 6 a.m. The system supervision time of the game warehouse has just been refreshed. The number of players in True Doomsday jumped to the highest peak, 223 people. Players rushed to the first floor of a 2-unit residential building when they entered the game. Look for new NPCs that appear. Don't worry, line up slowly, wait until I buy a weapon. Star City Stark waved to the players behind him, signaling them not to squeeze. How come? I came up at 6 o'clock, why is it still slower than Lao Shi? That's because they didn't go offline at all. I deliberately stayed for half an hour yesterday and went online at 5:30. It turned out that Lao Shi was sleeping on the first floor. It's right next to the counter where the NPC is placed. Quote. Could it be that Lao Shi has never been offline? I just watched Lao Shi's online time, it's 43 hours. He's going to hang up. Is this still a question of cheating? Staying in the game room for such a long time is a question of whether people will hang up. Quote. Star City Stark squinted at these players and said lightly. My game cabin can last for 72 hours without any side effects on the body. And I have already filed with the law enforcement agency in the hospital. The hospital is also connected to my game pod. As long as I have an uncomfortable reaction in my body, I will call the police immediately. They will help me remotely turn off the game pod and send someone over to check my health. Quote. 72 hours. There are hospitals to help monitor. This is too inhumane. The rest of the players were stunned. They will take a break for up to 8 hours online. Star City Stark's online time is 9 times that of theirs. Doesn't that mean his development time is 9 times as long as theirs? Do you really have money to do whatever you want? It's not as exaggerated as you think. If you are online all the time, the game characters will have to sleep, otherwise the sand value will go crazy. Star City Stark guessed their thoughts and explained aloud. And after you go offline, the game characters should be dormant by default, so you don't have to sleep and waste time when you go online. That's it. The rest of the players nodded, as if they felt a little more balanced. Everything you want is ready, order some. While Stark was talking to other players in Star City, the quartermaster moved a box to the counter. Steel crossbow, stainless steel sword, sharp broadsword x3, Imperial Tower shield x2, Prairie Scepter, that's it, that's right. Stark bought 8 weapons for a total of 4 gold. Then he spent 1 gold to buy recovery items, which was also a big box. Wu Lianzuo, and Feng, and Sunshine Boy came to help move all the weapons and props to room 1601. Star City Stark's own resurrection point. Okay, let's start dividing things. Bang dang, Stark threw a box of weapons to the ground. One of the sharp broadswords is mine. I have to practice triple slash at level 10. Take the rest of the weapons yourself. The rest of the people were not polite, and turned over directly. Steel crossbow, Forever Drop God. Stainless steel Taidao, Prodigals Away. Sharp broadsword x2, and Feng, Sunshine Boy. Empire Tower shield x2. I have a 3rd level head, break your skull. Liao Yuan scepter, Psychisuk. After and Feng and Sunshine Boy got the sharp broadsword, they traded 50 silver to Star City Stark. They just didn't want to line up and let Star City Stark buy it together. Wu Lianzhao is a worker of Stark in Star City, so these weapons are naturally issued by the boss. Because of the powerful output of Stark in Star City, I have a 3rd level head, smash your skull and directly turn to the shield to play T. I have played thousands of hours of shooters forever, but when the consciousness of T is not enough, I can only continue to make up for the damage as a shooter. As for the Prodigals Away, if he is not allowed to continue playing Taidao, he has to put down the burden directly. Brother Suo Z is engraved in his soul. Psychisuk still firmly believes that this game can be played. The level 10 skill of his scepter also confirmed this point. Level 10 scepter skill, Fire Ability Affinity. Among the many elemental abilities, a fire system was randomly obtained. But the level 10 skill is just fire affinity, no damage or crowd control at all. Hard to say something useful. That is, the technology of burning wood for cooking has improved a lot. The fire control is perfect. After taking the weapons, everyone also received a copy of the recovery props. After things were divided, a group of people went to yesterday's subway station. Star City Stark's 2 car keys and AP-18C pistol are still there. They go early in the morning and have a good chance of getting it back. When they arrived at the subway station, the group of people were shocked by the scene of dismembered corpses in front of them. They are all pieces of meat cut by Zhou Zequan. Brother Chuan is still fierce. Prodigals Away said with a smile, there is probably no danger here, let's go in and pick up the corpse. Call out. Before Prodigals Away could finish his sentence, an arrow pierced through the air, missed Stark's head, and stuck in his knee. Prodigals Away. This arrow directly reduced his movement speed to 3 points. At this moment, the sound of chaotic footsteps came from all directions. At the entrance of the subway, in the tunnel, in the direction of the platform. Dozens of people rushed out. We rushed here last night to get off the line, and we guessed that you would come to pick up the corpse. A familiar voice sounded, and the pigeon became sperm and came out from one side. Sure enough, we caught it. Seeing this, Stark looked around, shook his head and said, I think you guys play too much PvE, do you think PvP only needs more people? Da da da, da da da. The sound of Uzi submachine gun bursts exploded in the subway station. The current players are very brittle. Without a protective helmet. It doesn't matter if your physique is 20 points or 30 points. One shot. Must die. Star City Stark's own marksmanship, coupled with the micro self-aiming skills brought. He took the Uzi submachine gun and drove straight away. Turn around. Half the size of the big dozens. Reload. Keep shooting. These people didn't have a chance to talk much, and they were wiped out immediately. Really kill zombies to kill my brain, and come to squat my Uzi with some bows and arrows and cold weapons. Stark City Stark shook his head while checking his status. In fact, they had a chance, but unfortunately the shot missed. Psychisuk helped pull out the arrow that had been inserted into the prodigal son Hui's knee. How about it? It shows the disabled state of the right foot, and the movement speed has dropped dramatically. Prodigals away put on a bandage, drank an energy drink and a primary life potion. The recovery props are enough, and you should be able to recover after a few minutes. Looking at the prodigal's awee's lame appearance, I couldn't help laughing and said, "It's a good thing that the injury is not completely realistic, otherwise you got an arrow in the knee, and you will have to hold crutches for at least half a year. If it's really like this, I'll be happy if I don't just commit suicide and be resurrected." As the prodigal's away said, he limped and wanted to jump down the tunnel. Stark reached out his hand to stop him. "You stay here, the third level leader will watch over you, we will come out after we go in and pick up the corpse." Prodigals away nodded and sat on the ground. With his moving speed, forcibly following in is also a drag on the rhythm of the team. The team split into two waves, leaving the prodigals away and me on the platform, while the rest jumped down the tunnel and went deeper. I didn't expect that pigeon spirit to secretly attract so many people to ambush you, the sunny boy said as he walked, "just because of the Uzi in your hand. It took him a lot of energy and time to find this weapon in the law enforcement station, and he is certainly angry that he can't get it back now." Star City Stark said with a smile, "It just happened that the zombies were a little tired of killing, he came to block us. Playing PvP is also a kind of adjustment. You're still playing PvP. After 2 rounds, everyone will die." And Feng shook his head, raised his flashlight and looked at the ground. "The meat and egg area is here, and if we go deeper, it should be the place where we died. How about we go in together, or are you worried about that night hunter? If it is still there, our mission will not be completed." Star City Stark raised the Uzi submachine gun in his hand, and pointed to the tower shield, broadsword and other equipment. "Even if the night hunter is still there, we can't touch him with this set of equipment. You have made so many teaching videos anyway, don't be cowardly." And Feng shrugged, "Then do it. Do you all remember the night hunting skills? Acid, tongue stab, leap. Wait for the cranium to protect Lao Shi and forever dishin with a tower shield, and the rest of the people spread out and move around, just be careful not to get headshot by the tongue." Quote. After Star City Stark and his party stood in formation, they continued to go deeper. "My body is here." Stark City Stark squatted down and touched his body. The rest of the people used flashlights to illuminate their surroundings for vigilance. 2 strings of car keys and AP-18C pistol, done. Stark handed the pistol and dozens of rounds of 9mm bullets to Forever God. "Although the damage of your steel crossbow is a bit higher than this pistol, it can only be shot in a single shot, and the rewinding of the crossbow will also delay things. Use this gun first." Forever God took the pistol and hung the crossbow on his back. It seems that the night hunter must have really run away. And Feng observed that there were bloodstains on the ground all the way along the tunnel. The NPC's stabbing sword did not hurt much. "This trip is safe and sound, and I can drive back to the community later." Star City Stark packed his things and prepared to return. "Wait a minute, do you hear footsteps?" Shi Yifu beckoned and reminded, "It's coming from the other side of the tunnel." There are really footsteps. Could it be night hunting? After Feng finished speaking, he denied himself, "No, if it's a night hunt, it should have jumped over the wall." A little timid, Forever Dripping God muttered, "Well, didn't we get something? Isn't it better to evacuate to the subway station now? Even if there are any end-time creatures, it's good for us to pull them to the subway station first." Everyone nodded. The formation was reversed. The one with the shield smashed your skull in the rear, and Feng led the team to run back. A group of people rushed back to the subway station at the fastest speed. When the prodigals away saw them, he stepped forward to greet them. "You guys are in such a hurry, what did you encounter inside?" "I don't know. I just feel that something is approaching us." Shi Yifu shook his head. The footsteps disappeared after a while, and the unknown is the scariest thing. Forever D. Shen leaned down and took a deep breath, looking undecided. And at the moment when the God of Eternity stooped, the rest of them took a few steps back abruptly. "What's wrong? Why are you so far away from me?" "You, behind you, there is something on your stomach." "There's something lying on my back." Hearing this, I always feel a cold air filling the sky. He froze in place. Next moment, he was a little trembling and startled. "Ha ha ha, that's impossible. There's something on my back, why don't I feel it at all? You're all playing tricks on me, right?" Forever God has been so frightened that he has lost his expression control, and his facial features are very exaggerated. However, the stepping back and nervous expressions of the others had already answered him. This is really not a trick. Gao, gao, gao. Forever God is about to look back and observe. There were sharp and piercing laughter sounding behind him. He finally felt the touch behind his back. This touch is still extending up his back a little bit. Up to the back of his neck. Suddenly, a pair of hands full of sores stretched out and hugged his head tightly. Feeling the huge force on the head, I will always panic. He struggled with all his strength and even shot himself in the head with a pistol. But all this is in vain. The strength of those hands is getting heavier and heavier. Getting heavier and heavier. Until, pop his head off. PFF. The head of the eternal dripping god burst like a watermelon under the attack of gravity. The faces of the Starks in Star City were covered with blood. This sudden scene surprised these great players. How dare you kill my brother alone? Prodigal Zoe let out a loud roar, and limped forward with a takedown. But because of a lame leg, he wanted to use his full strength. Click. Prodigal Zoe fell flat, directly in front of this thing. The few people who were still in astonishment suddenly had question marks on their faces. Prodigal Zoe, are you here to be funny? It's the Terminator of the horror atmosphere. This thing also seemed to be confused by the strange behavior of this human being. It didn't ride directly on the back of the Prodigal Zoe's neck, but jumped a few steps back to distance itself. Looking at the expression, it turned out to be a little worried and afraid of this human being. After opening the distance, the two sides confronted each other. Stark and the others finally saw clearly the true appearance of this thing. Split lips, sore limbs and heads. He is only as tall as the player's knees, and has a very conspicuous hunchback. If you only look at the appearance, the image of this end-apocalyptic creature is almost harmless to humans and animals compared to night goblins and night hunters. But looking at the entry and the blood volume display, Star City Stark and the others immediately took a few steps back. This chic little thing is actually a D-level elite monster. Jockey, D-level elite. HP is as high as 6,500 points. This little thing is even more fleshy than night hunting. Star City Stark also looked like a ghost at the moment. With this amount of blood, he would have to scan several bullets even if he opened the auto-aim and scanned wildly. But the question is, will a jockey who is a D-level elite stand still and make him a target? Just when Star City Stark raised his Uzi and was ready to shoot, the jockey jumped on top of the Prodigal's away, and grabbed the Prodigal Son Hui's head with both hands to block in front of him. This little sheik is still looking for a bunker. So smart. Star City Stark paused. PFF'd. Stark hesitated a little, and the Prodigal Son Hui's head was crushed by the jockey. Stopped again. How does this thing deal so much damage? I asked with a third-level head frowning. Night Demon can kill players instantly. This thing is a higher level end-time creature than Night Hunter. Psyche Souk took a step back, reached into his pocket and took it out. Star City Stark also started shooting. But the jockey's movement speed and jumping ability are really op. Stark hits a fixed target with a gun and a headshot, but he faces a jockey jumping up and down in a subway station. His shooting percentage is only 10%. With a blood volume of 6,500 points, the jockey can basically ignore 10% of the Uzi's damage. Sunshine Boy and Enfeng held the broadsword, turned on the 3-section cut and rushed over. But they also can't touch the jockey. The speed of movement is crushed, so it can only be played like this. Rub. The jockey found the right timing and jumped towards Star City Stark. But unfortunately, he was dodged by Stark in a roll. The jockey glanced at Star City Stark in surprise. He never thought that such a weak human being could escape his own attack. This kind of monster has no long-range attack ability. Just be careful when it charges, and don't get ridden on it. After Star City Stark stood up, he immediately reminded. The jockey continued to hop around the station looking for opportunities. In fact, relying on his own physical strength and attack power, the jockey can bear the damage and crush these players. But it is more inclined to jump on the back of a human, and then crush the head of this fragile creature with both hands. It can also be understood as, it has a strong physical body, it doesn't need it, it just likes to jump on the back of humans. Just play. I can't even touch it, how can I fight it? Seeing the jockey scurrying around in front of his eyes, the sunny boy asked with a frown. How to fight? Can't fight. Stark of the Star City took a deep breath and said, if this thing's blood volume is low, we might be able to exchange lives for damage. But with 6,500 blood points, even if our own defensibility is 0, all of our lives are not enough to fill up. Now I can only think of a way, escape. As they spoke, the jockey made 2 more dives. Once bounced off by the tower shield, once evaded by rolling. Instead of being discouraged, the jockey became more and more excited. These few people seem to be its toys. It's about having fun torturing them. How's it going? Stark looked at Saikisuke, who was aside. Saikisuke held a can of liquid in his hand and gave him an, okay, gesture. Hold up the shield, let's retreat to the subway exit. When they were approaching the subway entrance, the jockey's pound speed increased significantly, and the impact power also rose to another level. My tower shield with a 3rd level head was hit by this impact, so I didn't hold it directly, and was blown away a long way. Obviously, the jockey has a lot of strength left. Seeing that these humans were about to flee to the street, it didn't hold back. Under the full strength of the jockey, the tower shield will fly with 1 blow, and the difficulty of rolling and dodging has directly become the regional level. Just for the next shock, get ready. Stark tore off a large piece of clothing at the same time, lit it with a lighter, and held it in his hand with a broadsword. Shiyifu took a big gulp of the liquid in his hand and held his breath to observe. Soon, the jockey flew towards him at a frightening speed. Seeing this, Stark of Star City immediately picked up the burning clothes in the air with his sword. Saikisuke squirted, and spit out a large mouthful of kerosene onto the burning clothes. Boom! A large ball of flames hit the jockey's face straight. Open black lens bracket -3 close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket -3 close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket -3 close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket, close black lens bracket. The flames burning above the jockey's head don't do much damage. But this was enough to scare it, making it stop on the ground. Several people from Star City Stark took this opportunity to run up quickly and rushed into the 2 off-road vehicles parked by the street. Stark City Stark and Fung inserted the key with the same thought in their hearts. Hurry up and launch. Buzz. The engine roared, and the 2 off-road vehicles finally drove on the street. Ha! The voices of relief came from the 2 off-road vehicles. Your affinity with fire abilities is still useful. Stark said with a smile. I don't have any acting experience, but I can play kerosene fire. Shiyifu whimpered twice, rinsed his mouth with a large mouthful of water, and then said. It doesn't seem to have much to do with my skills, I was still burned by the tempering of kerosene. Speaking of it, we are really wrong. We can actually meet AD level elite at the subway station. I did some mental calculations with my 3rd level head, and sighed, steel crossbow, fine steel sword, my tower shield is also lost, and 1.5 gold is gone. 1.5 gold is a trivial matter, and we may not be unable to get it back. Star City Stark said indifferently. I think it's not wrong to meet AD level elite, but luck. Too lucky. Among the remaining 4 passengers in the car, only Shiyifu understood Stark's meaning. Go back and find the NPC to report our information, it should be able to trigger another raid mission. Shiyifu rubbed his chin and speculated. That's right, this is AD level elite monster. The mission reward is at least 1 gold, maybe there will be another skill book. So, you still say we are wrong. It's simply amazing. Star City Stark became more and more excited as he talked. Until, a little sheik appeared in front of his car window. Jockey. Har. The panicked Star City Stark slammed on the brakes. The jockey flew a few meters away due to inertia. Several people in the car were dumbfounded. The jockey actually chased after them and even lay on the roof of their car. The recovered jockeys headed for their dirt bikes with great speed and bounds. The roof of the off-road vehicle was pressed down, and the jockey landed successfully. Star City Stark quickly started the off-road vehicle, and while stepping on the accelerator, he slammed in the direction. The off-road vehicle started to snake around on the street. The jockey on the roof cannot attack because he has to fight against inertia. The 2 sides were temporarily deadlocked. Where's your car? Why didn't you see you because you didn't pay attention? And Fung, who was in the car in front, asked via team voice chat. The jockey is on the roof of our car now, we can't go back. Stark responded. We'll help right away, shouted the sunny boy on the co-pilot. It's useless if you come here. Stark glanced at the situation on the roof and sighed. Then, shall we wait for you at the resurrection point? And Fong asked. Don't worry, I think there may be a glimmer of hope if you hold on. Shi Yifu thought of something, and quickly shouted, and Fong, you go directly to the residential building. Then what? Go and invite Zhou Zequan. After looking for so many people to piece things together, I finally got the 50 silver together. You can change to a good weapon to play with. A player walked towards the residential building, humming a song, looking in a good mood. Suddenly, the roar of an engine exploded in his ears. A speeding off-road vehicle broke through the gate of the community, and there was a big flick in front of him. The butt of the car almost brushed against his legs and almost hit his geo, scaring him enough. How the hell do you know how to drive? I'm going to take a picture of your license plate and report you. The player cursed, but looking at the license plate, there is a large string of incomprehensible characters. I'm still in the game now. After the player reacted, he immediately took out his weapon and rushed over to smash the glass. In reality, if he encounters someone who drives like this, even though he will be a little frustrated, he will take legal means. But in the game, then you are courting death. Let me see which blind guy dares to jump in front of me. The door opened, and two young men in a hurry got out of the car. God Anfang, Sunshine Boy God. Seeing this familiar id, the player immediately stayed where he was. These two met in reality, and they can still discuss it. In the game, can't afford it. What is this guy doing here with a rudimentary iron sword? The sunny boy glanced at the player. No time to worry about him, let's go. Hurry up, and Fong urged. And Fong and Sunshine Boy ran to the 15th floor at extreme speed. During this period, 3-stage slash was even turned on to increase the movement speed. Fortunately, they don't have to cut out these 3 attacks, otherwise the guardrail in the corridor will be severely damaged. Bang, 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 in front of room 1501, and Fong vigorously knocked on the door. After a while, an impatient voice sounded from inside. Buy weapons and medicine and go down to the quartermaster and doctor. Don't bother me, I don't need your help here. Zhou Zequan opened his sleepy eyes on the bed and looked at the time. The whole person immediately became ill. It's only 7:30. Are these players so addicted to the internet? He hasn't had a good night's sleep since the summoned player went online. The knocking on the door continued, and Fong shouted at the top of his voice, Brother Chuan, we need your help. Ask me for help, no time, Zhou Zequan responded. The Sunshine Boy shouted to help. We have discovered a new end-time creature, AD Class Elite. Gotta. The door to room 1501 opens. Zhou Zequan rubbed his face, and walked out with a weak look. Tell me, what's going on? And Fong and Sunshine Boy were worried that they would not be able to trigger the task if they lacked information. They spoke at a very fast speed, from buying weapons on the line today, to picking up corpses at the subway station, being ambushed, and then hearing footsteps in the tunnel, and discovering the jockey. Wait until Fong and Sunshine Boy finish all the information about the jockey. Sure enough, a system prompt appeared in Zhou Zechuan's mind. Open black lens bracket collected new mission information close black lens bracket. The host can now release new tasks to resist the invasion. ... Defense against invasion team. Pre-mission. The number of players required, 35 One weapon must reach LV10. Task requirements. Resist the invasion of the jockey and kill the jockey. Difficulty rating. C. Task reward. Randomly reward a part of the armor, and reward 1 gold. ... It's on. The exclamation mark on Brother Chuan's head is on. Sure enough, the task was triggered. The Sunshine Boy reminded loudly. Brother Chuan, do you need our help? And Fong looked at Zhou Zequan and raised his eyebrows. Zhou Zequan, you will embarrass me as an NPC like this. Zhou Zequan smacked his mouth. Let's go through the process a little bit. The jockey is a mutant that fuses the 4 stages of the G virus. If left unchecked, it will invade our community. Zhou Zequan had just finished speaking. A task reminder popped up in front of Fong and Sunshine Boy. Task. Resist invasion. Accept, reject. ... And Feng clicked accept on behalf of his team. This 35-person team task also appeared in the task lists of Wulian Zuo, Star City Stark, and Sunshine Boys. The current level of players is generally not high, so after the task difficulty increases, the number of players is required to be 5 more than before. And Feng muttered while looking at the mission information. Why are you analyzing the mission information? Look at the rewards. 1 gold plus defense equipment. Finally, we can solve our current problem that is too fragile. The Sunshine Boy said excitedly. These melee professions really need a good defense equipment. Sunshine, we don't seem to be happy about mission rewards now. And Feng vaguely felt that something important had been left behind. Ah, old Shi. Brother Chuan, hurry up and save old Shi. Sunshine Boy wanted to forcibly drag Zhou Zequan away, but he was a little afraid of being electrocuted, so he could only stare and worry. Okay, wait for me to take down the equipment. Zhou Zequan nodded and helped them complete the task, and it would be nice to practice leveling by the way. AD level elite monster shouldn't pose much threat to him. Wait a minute, you can't take the NPC away. The pigeon became refined and came in from the corridor. Pigeon spirit, you're never finished, are you? When Enfeng saw that it was the pigeon who came to make trouble, he became angry again. Don't think that if you have dozens of people in the group, you have a lot of talent. Enfeng looked at the pigeon spirit, and said in a cold voice, you people are still able to deal with zombies, build a family and develop. But in real PvP, do you believe that I can snipe and kill you so that you dare not leave the residential building? Quote. The pigeon became refined and shrank its neck. For a master of technology like Enfeng, the pigeon has become a master and has no doubts about his words. As long as the equipment of the two sides does not have the gap of going out versus mythical equipment, Enfeng can really easily kill another player. In Enfeng's eyes, players are much easier to deal with than bosses. Enfeng, don't be so irritable. I was wiped out by your group just now, I really want to continue doing things slowly. The pigeon is a bit shy when it becomes refined. Then what did you just say that you can't take away the NPC? The Sunshine Boy squinted at the pigeon and turned a fine look. If you take the NPC away, who shall I provide information to? Provide information. Zhou Zequan couldn't help but raise his head when he heard this. That's right, Brother Chuan. Some of us also found a night demon lair at Erlu department store. Do we need to destroy it? The information that the pigeons have become refined also brought new mission information to Zhou Zequan. The system reminded that the task of cut weeds and roots has been activated again and is ready for release. The task information of cut weeds and roots has been changed from subway station to Erlu department store. The rest is exactly the same as last time. There is mission information. Our team of 30 people directly packed this group mission. After receiving the mission, Pigeon became a master and grinned at Zhou Zequan. Brother Chuan, take us to destroy the night demon's lair. Pigeon spirit, you still say you didn't come here to make trouble. The sunny boy frowned. Why did you make such a mess? Didn't Brother Chuan lead you to the Night Devil's Lair mission last time? Pigeon asked back when she became spirited. Yes, but, puff. The Sunshine Boy wanted to continue interacting with the pigeon, but suddenly a smear of blood splashed on his clothes. Enfeng made a 3-stage cut and directly cut the pigeon into a fine one. You're talking nonsense to him, Lao Shi and the others are cold. Enfeng took a deep breath, turned to look at Zhou Zequan and said. Brother Chuan, we now have excellent weapons provided by the quartermaster, and many people have learned new skills. They'll definitely be able to handle the Daredevil lair, so don't bother you. Quote. On the contrary, the jockeys we encountered were high-level creatures of the end of the world, and we were no match at all. This end-apocalyptic creature started chasing and killing us in broad daylight. If we don't get rid of it, maybe the next time we meet, it will be in our residential building. Quote. When Enfeng was trying to persuade, Zhou Zequan was fiddle with his equipment with his head down. My side is almost ready, why don't you go get the people together first? Zhou Zequan glanced at Enfeng. Enfeng was dumbfounded. Yes, the team task of 35 people is far from enough now. No one answered the task, how could the NPC follow? Is it too late to spread the news? And Feng was about to open the group message, and suddenly found a large number of players pouring into the aisle. Group mission. I'm here to pick up the group mission. And me. Leave me a spot. The players yelled and rushed to Zhou Zechuan's side. After being disturbed by the pigeon becoming a spirit, and Feng even forgot the players' initiative for mission rewards. The exclamation point on Zhou Zechuan's head was clearly marked on the map. But how could players who could see it sit idly by? Of course they all ran over to grab the task. Well, I'm not late, am I? Buckwheat Manto moved over holding a tower shield. You are the 35th. And Feng greeted the buckwheat buns quickly. Ah, didn't I miss it? Buckwheat Manto sighed. Don't miss it. This time the group is 35 people. And Feng urged, hurry up and get the task, let's go to meet Lao Shi. Don't all crowd here, all go downstairs. After the task was issued, Zhou Zechuan, who had put on his equipment, began to drive away the players. He is currently wearing poisonous stinger greaves. If he jumps past the player pile, he will probably be poisonous. After the players dispersed, Zhou Zechuan went downstairs. Brother Chuan, let's take the car. And Feng waved to Zhou Zechuan. And Feng, Sunshine Boy, and Zhou Zechuan and Buckwheat Steamed Buns, there is more than enough space in the off-road vehicle. They set off early to save the city of Stark. The rest of the players who accepted the mission came on foot according to the coordinates. With the sound of the engine roaring, and Feng drove the off-road vehicle out of the community. 15 floors. The newly revived prodigals away and Forever Dishan pulled out a saved weapon and rushed downstairs. They looked at the off-road vehicle going away, and yelled in the team voice. Wait a minute, we haven't got in the car yet. I'll just say, it always feels like something's missing. Sunshine Boy reacted immediately after hearing the voice in the team. Prodigals away and Forever Dishan just came back to life when they started the car. Should we go back and pick them up? Sunshine Boy asked. Forget it. And Feng turned on the voice in the team and responded. We have already driven a long way. You and other players who have accepted the mission come here on foot. After giving the response, and Feng waved to the Sunshine Boy and said. It doesn't matter if they come or not. Master Anfang, don't be like this, your team voice is still on. Prodigals away whispered. We can still help to eat some damage. I mean, we're all the same in front of that jockey, all of us can't play, so it doesn't make a difference. After all, he was also a teammate who had been with him for 2 days, so Feng still added something to appease the prodigal Sun Wei and Yang Di Shen. Old Shi, how are you doing over there? And Feng looked at the teammate icons on the map, and the distance was not far away. I'm still using snakeskin to walk around with this thing. Star City Stark replied. However, I don't think it will take long, the roof will be removed by this little sheik soon. At that time, it will fall directly beside us, and probably kill one with a slap. And Feng. After a pause, and Feng continued, look at the map and drive towards us. Even if you are going to be photographed to death, bring this guy here. Have you brought Brother Chuan here? Saikisuk asked hastily. That's right, if you resist us until the round, you'll be fine with Brother Chuan. Hearing this news, Saikisuk and the others immediately felt relieved a lot. They didn't expect that an NPC could bring them such a sense of security. I still have a tower shield here, I can last a little longer. Smash your skull and raise the tower shield to stand up inside the car. Catch. The roof was quickly torn open by the jockey. Break your skull and immediately go up with the tower shield. The jockey, who had already lost his patience, was furious. It grabbed the tower shield and lifted it up. Break your skull and even pull out your shield. Seeing this, Stark turned the steering wheel even bigger. He wants to use inertia to throw your shattered skull out of the car. The jockey didn't want to see a living human escape from him. Even if it is swayed by inertia, it stretches its hand towards the abdomen that shattered your skull. Then, use both hands together. The jockey rips your skull right down the middle. A large amount of blood was poured into the car, dyeing Stark and others red. Gao, gao, gao. The last obstacle disappeared, and the jockey's sharp and piercing laughter sounded again. Brother Chuan is more than 500 meters away from us, it's too late. Stark glanced at the map, and said in a deep voice, be prepared, instead of waiting for this thing to shoot us to death, we might as well send it ourselves, maybe it can cause some damage. What do you want? Psyche asked. Star City Stark didn't answer, stepped on the gas pedal to the bottom, and rushed straight to a ruin in front of him. Boom, boom, huge bang. What followed was the sound of a car explosion. The parts and circuits of abandoned vehicles in the last days are aging, which directly makes this off-road vehicle look like a movie. Explosion is art. Ha ha ha. Stark watched his body being engulfed by flames, and he still didn't forget an anime line from the second class. Sitting in the backseat, I have a third-class head sniffing. I actually feel that I still have a little fragrance when I'm burnt. Each of the two said a word, and the blood volume was cleared to 0 and returned to the resurrection interface. Har, the sound of sudden braking sounded. The off-road vehicle driven by Enfeng came to the crash site. We're late. Enfeng sighed. I'm alive. Psychisuke's voice sounded in the team's voice. Enfeng and the others soon saw a figure crawling out of the burning car. All go. Can't this burn you to death? Enfeng walked over and helped him up. Fire abilities are friendly. Flames can hurt me, but they are not as deadly as they are. I survived by drinking primary life potions. Puff, cough cough. While Shi Yifu was speaking, he exhaled a puff of black smoke. Although I still have some blood, my whole body is burnt. I'm sure I'm going to die. Let me push it up again. The jack can get you jacked. The question is, what about the jockey? As soon as Enfeng finished asking, he felt his back sink. The laughter of, Gao, 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 came from behind him. No way. Enfeng was speechless. This little sheik is really crawling back without paying attention. Enfeng was ready to be crushed by those hands. Unexpectedly, there was a sudden sound of a sword being swung through the air from behind. Zhou Zequan came behind him, and pierced the jockey's body with his sword. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe my channel.